Welcome to the Honor It All podcast. I'm Honor Garrett, your host, and we're here to honor all that is good in the world. Each podcast, I interview top professionals around the globe who are making a difference, impacting lives, and creating positive change. Today, we have Eronica Aljoe, an alignment mindset coach and a certified EFT practitioner, helping high achievers find balance in their personal and professional lives without sacrificing their inner peace, health, or relationships. Eronica uses her expertise in self-mastery and human fulfillment to foster global change by helping others show up more with impact, clarity, confidence, and peace. What I think makes Eronica stand out is the love and authenticity she brings to every conversation. You always feel seen and heard when you're in her presence. And that's why she's able to really transform so many lives. I'm so honored to have you here today, Eronica, as part of the Honor It All podcast. Welcome. How are you?
Oh my goodness, Honor. Thank you so much for having me. I am doing amazing. And I'm so excited that we're here recording this podcast because I believe that it was destined to be that we have this beautiful connection. So yeah, I'm excited to share and get to know your guests and share some gems. So yeah, I'm excited and ready to go.
Well, I have to be honest with our audience.
Ooh.
Everybody. Yes.
Ooh.
I interviewed Eronica a few weeks ago, and it was the most incredible conversation. And life doesn't always happen the way you want it to. And I can't find the recording. I think I accidentally erased it or something with my computer. So she has been so gracious to redo this. And I really believe that things happen for a reason. So I'm excited that she's back. So Eronica, thank you for being here, even though it's for a second time.
Yeah, and it's okay. I'm also signing up for a third time because a third time is always my charm. So I allow for anything that wants to happen this time around to also happen, because that's the beautiful thing about life. You have to be open and ready and willing to show up for the call. And so, like Honor said, we recorded already and it was beautiful and so many beautiful things came out of it. But here we are a second time because that means something else needs to be said that wasn't said. So I'm really ready to dive in and to pour over your audience the second time around.
Yeah. So there's somebody out there, there is something that you needed to hear that's going to come out today. And so we're just blessed to be here and talk. And you know, I first met Eronica in Clubhouse, and I know I say that a lot because it's kind of the place to be. It's a beautiful platform where people can really get to know each other and support one another. So she was just, her energy is just incredible. And it was just obvious what a natural leader that Eronica is. So Eronica, tell us a little bit about how you grew up and, you know, how has that helped shape what you're doing today?
Wow. Let's take it all the way back. I love it. So for those of you guys who don't know my story, I was born and raised in Montego Bay, Jamaica, in a small countryside in St. James. And growing up, I used to love, and still do, I love nature. I love being outdoor and I love grounding. And one of my favorite childhood stories is when I look back at all the photographs my mom has, the black and white Polaroid one or the colored one, you know, when you get to like take the picture and flash it. I have a lot of those pictures and in my mom's photo album when I go to her house. And I would look at all of them and my hair will be done with nice little clips and little bubbles and stuff. And I would wear a nice dress because usually it's like a function or a church picture or something like that. And I would look at the whole picture and I had no shoes on. And I'm saying to my parents, like, Mom, why didn't anyone put shoes on my feet? And Honor, I'm telling you, this is literally like from the age of like maybe like for as long as I can stand. So let's just go like maybe like 2, 3, right? Wherever that is, I can stand on my own. So all of these pictures, I think I have one with a shoe on, all the way to like about 10 years old. There's no shoes. And I'm like, what's going on here? So that's a little bit about how I grew up. I grew up in Jamaica and I love nature. And I had a little mind of my own. And so when they would tell me, hey, don't take your shoe off, we're going to take pictures. I guess I did not quite listen and I took my shoe off, but I was still ready for the picture because I came and I smelled. And so, but they had no idea I didn't have my shoes on until after, but I guess it's their loss. They should have been paying attention.
Well, you always look so put together. Do you have shoes on right now?
Actually, no. You got me.
Well, that's the beauty of Zoom and radio podcast. So you don't have to have your shoes on right now.
Oh my God.
And maybe that.
I love to ground. I love to ground. I love to feel the earth under my feet. I love nature and I love to ground. So whenever I'm being centered, I like to be bare feet. And I even invite my clients when I do meditation with them to take their shoes off. And they're like, really? Like, yeah, take your shoes off. Like, feel the carpet, feel the floor, even your socks, take it all off. And I'm like, that's interesting. Nobody's telling me to take my shoes off, but I love to tell them to do it.
So when people ground, when you're with people and you're grounding or you tell people to ground, do you focus on chakras? Because the root chakra is kind of your grounding into the earth chakra.
So I focus on the chakra, but I put more of my attention on the feeling of being calm. Think about it, right? When you were a child, I love going back to childhood because that's where we have the most freedom and the most excitement and the most flexibility and the most compassion as kids, right? Think about even your kids or anybody listening. Think about the kids. It's like when they're playing, when they're free, when they're running, when they're playing in the mud, it's like everything is just so fun. And the minute you say, put your shoes on, we have to go somewhere. Yes, they're excited to go, but it's like a switch of energy and vibrational frequency for them. And so when you take your shoe off, when you take your jacket off, when you inhale deeply and exhale, you feel a sense of freedom. And I love to connect back to youthfulness because as adults, let's face it, we're pretty much taking care of responsibilities, taking care of life, and we forget to just be. And so I like to invite people when they're in front of me to just be free, to just go with the flow. And the fastest way to get there is to be barefoot.
Love it. And do you work a lot on being quiet and still as well?
So I don't work a lot on it. It just happened to be in my life at this point because I start every single day, right? We talk about meeting on Clubhouse. We actually met in the morning. And I start my days with silence. And so I love to really, really wake up, just be in silence, just let anything that's happening outside my window, whether it's the birds, whether it's the trees, whether it's nothingness, just let that be. And then I say a prayer and then I go into my affirmation. And so I wake up in silence every day because that's how I like to be. I have quiet time. I live in Woodstock, Connecticut. That's part of New England. And it's all nature. And so I get to just hear nature's voice versus hearing cars or things or other things, which is fine. But it's to me at this point in my life, I love calm. And so stillness and quiet does show up a lot in my life. And just in case I want to shake it up, I get inside, I turn on my music and I have a dance party, or I bring my Alexa outside and dance barefoot in the grass. So it's a variety of ways that I induce the stillness and the grounding in my life on a daily basis.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because I was going to ask you, do you dance? And when I do, I try to dance when I'm doing housework.
I can relate.
So I make whatever I'm doing, the thing that seems mundane, actually feel exciting or enjoyable. Approach everything with joy and gratitude. So, well, it looks like you had an inkling of what you might be doing in your future, even from your childhood. But tell me what that journey was that led you to coaching.
So it's the story that your audience didn't hear when I shared from my childhood is, as a young girl, I would be that 8-year-old that will get all our friends together and be like, hey, we're going to go play today. And they'd be like, yeah, we're going to play. But I was like, but just make sure when you go home, you put your book bag where it belongs and you put your shoes where it belongs. And you actually do a chore for your mom or whoever's at home. Then you ask to go play. And you might have asked, like, why would an 8-year-old have a plan to play? You're a child, you just go and play.
Exactly.
But I realized that if I went home and dropped my book bag in the middle of the floor and then I dashed out the house, my mom is like, hey, come back here. And sometimes play is canceled for the day because you're not doing what you're supposed to. And so in life, from a very young age, I realized that we can all have what we desire to have in life, right? It's just a matter of how are you going to meet that thing that you desire to have? Like, what are you going to do to be able to get it? Right. And so I don't believe in giving up anything, but what am I going to give into? What am I going to deposit into this bank account so I can withdraw what I need? And so as a child, I deposited the chore. I deposited, put my book bag away so I could play. I withdraw play. And so fast forward into my adulthood, that transition for me became when I was just traveling all around the US. I used to fly to California a lot. And I was on a flight and I was talking to a lady. She had to have been in like her late 40s. And literally, I was just peaking up to 21, 22. I think I was going to California for my 23rd birthday. and we were having a conversation, and I was going to San Francisco to be exact. And she talked to me from Boston Logan Airport all the way to California, the entire flight. And she was in tears and she cried.
Oh.
And when she was all done, what was the icing on the cake for me? When she was all done, she was like, hey, where's your card? And how does your family feel about you doing this work? How old are your kids? I was like, who is she talking to? I'm a child myself. And so no, I don't have any kids. No, I just, and so she was just blown away by my knowledge and my ability to be calm in situations that were unforeseen. And what I left her with that day was that she had a hard time with her daughter because her daughter wasn't as forthcoming as I was, or as, I guess, was in her awakening or in alignment. And I told her, don't wish for your daughter to be like me. Support your daughter where she is. Allow her to be who she is, and then give her some tools to meet her where she is so you can bring her to where you want her to go. Because so many times in life, we want to fix something right away because we know it can be better. We want to make it better now. Instead, I ask people to approach it differently, show compassion, show grace, and meet people where they are so that way they can slowly evolve. Because if I evolve, I tend to last longer. If you take me from here and bring me here, once you're gone, I don't know how to get there on my own. Mm-hmm. And so that was the journey for me to become a coach. I realized that there was a difference between doing and telling and showing and allowing someone to follow your lead. And to me, it's been a beautiful journey. And I love the clients I'm able to work with in that manner so that they can be the leaders of their own life.
Wow, that's beautiful. Because when you really think about it, we need to have that experience ourselves. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting that you were saying that you would go home and you would make sure that your mom was happy before you went out and played. And that some people might be saying, oh, you're being, the goody two shoes, the good daughter, so you can get what you want, the kind of like almost like manipulating. And actually, it's not that at all. It's about the energy you're putting out. So if you're putting that energy out of being helpful for your mother, she's not going to get that anger energy coming out because you didn't do what you're supposed to do. So it's really about, again, being that essence of what you want, and that will be attracted to you, I guess. So you knew that at a really young age, whether you realized it or not, right?
I love that you put it that way too, because I didn't even think about it that way until now. All these years, I never thought about it that way, but that's exactly what I was doing is I know that if she felt better, if she was happier, then chances are when I needed something from her, her cup was full enough for her to say yes. Right. And so in life, sometimes we don't stop to be present enough at what's going on. We're just thinking about our own needs, and that's fine, right? There's a time and place for everything. Right. We're thinking about our own needs, and the person who we're wanting to support us, or the person who we're wanting to give us that yes. Back then it was my mom. Now it's like, maybe it's a partner, maybe it's something, right? We're thinking that me, but in life I realize, and Stephen Covey also says this in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it has to be a win-win relationship or situation for each people to come out feeling fulfilled. I never left my fulfillment up to chance ever since I was a child, because I like I said, I'm the youngest of 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters, and I've seen them get some harsh no's. And I was like,
They're not doing it the right way.
I'm like, I'm not going to do it that way. And I must say, I got lucky because I was that child that I didn't have to kind of do it to know kind of thing. I was very observant, and I asked a lot of questions. I was always that little one. hey, excuse me, but I just want to know. And you're like, like as in those kids should be seen but not heard. That still happened in my family, but I was still that little one. But I just have one question. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. And I guess with that voice, they're like, okay, just go ahead.
Wow. Well, that's what makes a wonderful coach, is being able to listen, to ask the right questions and listen, because it's not about telling someone how to change. It's about them having that right aha moment that really is the magic of what you do. So, wow. Okay. So life kind of throws you a curveball every now and then, kind of did with this whole interview, right? And here we are again. And I've got another opportunity to see you in person. So I'm excited. But has anything ever just thrown a curveball in your life where you've had to make go a total different direction?
So I get curveball thrown at me on a regular basis. And curveballs show up differently. A curveball could be in news information, meaning like someone tell you something that you don't want to hear. A curveball can also be that you were supposed to be somewhere and then you weren't there because of some overcommitment or something happening. And a curveball can also be a house fire, which had happened to me in the past, right? And so there are lots of different ways for curveball. And I think for me, why I'm able to handle adversity at such capacity is because I don't allow situations and circumstances to define how I want to feel. And so I wake up each day, and trust me, this takes lots of practice. You're only hearing the finish line. So maybe we have to do another segment for me to tell them how I used to be before. But what I'm telling you now, I didn't wake up and just arrive here, right? And so what I want to share is that I am able now to have things happen in my life. And my first question to myself is, it's a check-in. How do I feel? And how do I actually want to feel? Right? And then I ask myself, what can I do in this moment to get closer to the desired feeling or outcome? While when things are happening for people and it's not going how they want it to, it's easy to be upset. It's easy to do the blame game. I rely on questions to keep me level-headed and grounded. And that's why for me, when it comes to adversities in my life, whether it was as big as me scheduling a client real early in the morning and missing it because I overcommitted the night before in a project and literally slept through my alarm, or it was like I said, or like it was the house fire. Like, I'm a human being, things happen all the time, right? However, as you get to know yourself, you get to realize what your strengths are and what your challenges are. And when you learn those things, it's up to you to realize that you don't grow from beating yourself up. You grow from showing yourself compassion. So if something is happening in my life and I fell short, I'm going within. I'm going to find out, what could I have done a little bit differently to have had a different outcome? And if in the case of the house fire, I said, oh my goodness, I'm just happy that I'm alive, because I am, because I could have died. People had smaller house fires than I did and did not make it.
What is it like when you lose everything? I mean, that's got to be a very anxiety inducing feeling.
I love that you brought up anxiety. We lost everything besides our lives. Like when I say everything, the night of the house fire, I went to my friend's house and what I had on was just like pajamas and my clothes. I literally had to get clothes from her the next day to put on. And then the day after that, I had to go down to the Goodwill because it's literally in walking distance from my house. Walk over to the Goodwill. I bought a skirt and bought a top. I lost everything. I literally took out of my house because that night of the house fire, I was actually working late. It's when I didn't work full time in my business yet. And I came home from work, taking a shower, and I'm on my bed with my workbook, my work bag and my computer. And I'm doing a little bit of work because I wanted to like get some client stuff together before the next day. And it was like close to about like, it was really late in the night, close to 12 o'clock at night. I literally should have already been sleeping. But I was awake and I literally had my wallet, my computer and everything right there with me on my lap. And my mom calls me Gina. That's a story from the name. That's my nickname. My mom calls me Gina and she says, Gina, fire. And I was like, that's weird. My mom is definitely sleeping. What? And she says, Gina. And literally at the time when she's calling me, the fire is in front of her bed. So she couldn't get out the bed, how her room is set up. And I literally jumped up off the bed, with the bag in my, like I said, everything was already next to me.
Right.
I jumped up, I grabbed it. I went into her room. She got off the bed on the corner. I pulled my nephew, and then I went back into my room. While my mom and my nephew was going out the door, I went back into my room. I think I went to pick up, because I wear contacts. I went to pick up my, I had my glasses on already. I just went to pick up a pack of contacts. And as I was running, still have my bag, because like I said, I had everything in my hand. And I was running through the hall. It's a very narrow hallway. We lived at the time. We lived in a 3-family house in Boston, and so we were on the first floor. And the hallway is narrow. And as I was running through the hallway, Hunter, like literally smoke and flame and fire was like touching my face as I ran through the hallway. I couldn't see anything. And that's how we got out. So all I had was my laptop, my phone, whatever paper was in my bag from that night before, and the contacts that I grabbed off my dresser. And so literally it's, my mom was in her nightgown. My nephew was in his shorts. Like I said, I had just finished with some work and just doing a little bit of touching up before I go to bed. That's all we got outside with. And that was the day I realized that once there's life, there's hope. And so whatever strength I had to deal with adversity, this took it to the next level, because I realized I didn't have to make it out through that fire, especially in the simple fact that I was so close to the door, and they always tell you don't go back in, right? There's a reason why they tell you don't go back in. Right. And I'm like, but I need to see. And so I just, because it was right on the dress, I grabbed it and I was running. Needless to say, the days after that was a little bit harder for me and my family, because then we stayed with a friend for the first 2 days and we got a hotel. It was just me, my mom, my nephew, all of us in one hotel room. And so someone to have a really rigorous practice of silence and all these things, there wasn't much silence. And so I went into the bathroom. In the bathroom for a few weeks, probably even a few months, is where I became still. I meditated in the bathroom. I did my yoga in the bathroom, everything in the bathroom. And you're listening to this and you're probably like, that's gross, it's a bathroom. It was I had. And like I mentioned,
your refuge, right?
As I mentioned before, I don't leave my feeling up to chance. And I know how important it was for me to ground and connect. And so I did that until I felt it was good enough to like go outside, take little walks. But it's almost like a shift in identity to losing everything.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, I imagine going through something like that, it's a lot easier to see the world and be grateful for even the just smallest thing, when you know that, you can breathe. You have if you have breath in your lungs, like you said, you have hope. There's a chance to change your life. And, as a health, life, and mindset coach, I really believe 100% that your health is so important to your success, because, if you aren't healthy, you're not going to end up being successful. And if by some fluke accident, you feel like you're successful financially or whatever it is, and you don't have good health, you won't sustain it. And it's not enjoyable. You can't enjoy it. So what is your thought on health? How do you approach your health?
I approach my health daily because I eat I would say more healthier than most people. And when I say healthy, I eat everything and anything I want. Like I am the person that can eat a whole box of pizza and you'd be like, where did it go? I love pasta and I love pizza. So those are some things I will never change, sacrifice, unless the doctor tell me that something is going to happen. And still then I might challenge him. But let's take it back down a notch. On a regular basis, I choose fruits and veggies, leafy greens. I choose water. I don't drink soda. I don't use additional sugar. And so while I will literally and bring any like 10-year-old or 15-year-old little boy and put him in front of me with a box of pizza, I'm going to win. And so while I allow myself to have what I desire to have, I also have the discipline to realize that in order to maintain a healthful life, I need to take care of my body by eating. I hydrate, and every single day I walk. And so even if I can't do yoga, or if I didn't do Tai Chi, or if I didn't go to hike, I walk it daily. And so on a regular basis, I do 50 miles of walking every month, winter, summer, spring, fall, every year.
Oh, that's awesome. And so I know you like to hike, and you have a dog or a couple dogs?
I have a
Yes.
puppy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Where is your puppy right now? My dog is literally right at
Oh,
my feet.
she's right at my feet. She's sitting on a pillow. I had a yoga session before, and the pillow that belonged on my chair is actually on the floor, and she made it her
Yeah.
own.
So we both have our pups right at our feet right now. So, well, we know health is important. How important is your mindset, do you believe, for lasting results in what you do?
I believe that they go on in hand, right? So without the proper health, without the proper mental and physical health, right? Let's not get it confused.
Mhm.
We need both, and also spiritual health. We also need the mindset piece. Because if you think about it, on that day from the house fire when we lost everything, we could start to talk about, well, whose fault it was. It was because it was electrical. It was because of these things. We could have just had so many thoughts and beliefs. But because of my mindset, I'm just like so grateful that I'm here and I'm alive. And I'm thinking, okay, what do me and my family need to do to get back to some kind of peace and some kind of just be okay? Like, we are from the Caribbean, we love to cook. In a hotel, there will be no cooking. There will be no, you have your room, I have my room, right? There will be whatever we can find or whatever someone gave to us at the moment. Because like when I said we lost everything we did, like even like IDs and stuff like that were gone in the fire, some things, right? And so understanding that your mindset is the key to your success. If you don't have a mindset that can help you through your life, then you're going to be stuck, or you're going to find yourself being mediocre. And the reason why is because where your mind goes, your life goes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Thoughts, people don't realize your
Powerful.
thoughts are so powerful. Well, they're the beginning, they're the start, they're the energy, they're the frequency
Yes.
that materializes what you're thinking. I mean, everything that is in the universe that's material was first a thought, right? Even
Can
if
you
it was
believe
God's
it?
thought. I know. So I think that's another thing. We're both very much fans of Abraham Hicks, I believe,
Yes, we are.
and
Love her.
love just the talk and about energy. And um, I went through a stage because as a Christian, people would question, how can you be a Christian and believe in energy? Like they thought that was too woo woo.
Mm.
But I beg to differ. And I've done a lot of research, but honestly, whoever, God, the creator of this world, this beautiful world, he created energy. So there's a lot, right, that we can't see
Mm-hmm.
that's really impacting our lives, probably more than what we can see, right?
I would have to agree with you. I would have to agree with you because I tell people all the time, it's where I am today in my life is not because of the things I saw or the things I did. It's through visualization. It's through understanding that this moment, this hard time, this fluke that came up, this unforeseen that put a dent in my plan does not define me or does not define my life. Like, not now does not mean not ever. So not because I didn't get a chance to do everything I wanted to do today doesn't mean that's the end all be all. But sometimes our mind plays tricks on us and we think, well, if I didn't get it done, that means that I'm just not going to be consistent. And we beat ourselves up, which is what we're talking about when we first got on, right? So it always comes back to your mind, allowing your minds to plant seeds. I always say, mind your mind, right? Whatever seeds you're planting in your mind is what's going to grow. And we live in a world where there's so much overwhelm, so much worry, and there's so much anxiety. And worry, anxiety, and overwhelm is inevitable. It's always going to happen. But you can choose how much you want to be overwhelmed. Overwhelm is actually a choice. And some people may or may not agree, but there are ways that you can live your life so that way things become manageable. It doesn't mean I'm not stressed. It doesn't mean things are not going wrong. I just manage myself and my thoughts and my self-talk a little bit better than most people. So
That's
it's in that
great.
element of your life that you can see more fulfillment.
And when something happens to me, I try to remember there are some things that I personally think are good or bad, but the only thing that's really good or bad or how we feel is the feelings that we attach to it.
Yes.
So I might look at let me think. I may look at an apple and my emotions attached to an apple are, oh, that's really great and that's yummy. And someone else may attach the feelings like, gross, I would never eat an apple. So really, we have to realize that it's not about everyone else. It's really about us and how we're handling the feelings we attach. And you were mentioning about how we beat ourselves up. So self-love, self-care, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are the beginning to create, really make your biggest impact in the world, right? So what are your thoughts on self-care and self-love?
Without you, there is no dynamic that you can be a part of. And so I believe that in life, we are the common denominator. And so between me and you, I am the common denominator from where I stand. Between me, my puppy, and everyone in my house, I'm the common denominator. So if I don't take care of me, the common denominator, how do I get to be a part of the things I want to be? And so that's why for me, self-love, self-care, it's just embedded in my natural nature because there's a way I go about life and to-do lists, right? So when someone is a coach, they always think, oh my God, you have all these things you have to do. You're always on top of things. I'm always the first one to tell you that I take care of my self-care before I take care of my work. And close your ears because people are like, wait, what? No, I do. And the reason why I do that is because when I'm okay, I can give so much more to you. And so while most people in life go through life and they have all these things they need to do, all these things on their agenda, I'm going through the day like, okay, how am I going to fill my cup today? Is it a walk, right? Am I going to buy myself flowers? Am I going to go to the waterfall? Am I going to go to a hike? Am I going to call a friend I have not seen? Am I going to go hang out with a friend? I'm always throughout my days looking for ways to fill my own cup. And so while people are showing up for family and for work and for all these things, I choose to show up for myself first. Then I fit everybody else in, including work.
Well, and you make a bigger impact, correct? I mean, when you're full, you're making, well, when we fill ourselves up, we are actually, that's saying thank you to our creator. Thank you for our life, for who we are. We're going to be the best we can be. And that's when you make such a profound impact in the world, not when it's from resentment and drained energy and feeling exhausted, right?
I have so much stories around that because I wasn't always that person that took care of me first. Fast forward about 5 years into my life ago, or 6 or 7 years into my life ago, I was that person that poured from an empty cup. It didn't matter who you were, what you need. I was always there for you, always giving. And people pleaser, right? And that goes back to that childhood mentality. That childhood mentality flips upside down and actually was bad during a great chunk of my life for a whole decade. Mm-hmm. And so, like I said, there might be another podcast or another day so we can talk fully about that. But so I lived my life just people pleasing people, doing things that were going to benefit others and just putting me on the back burner. So if I had a project I need to do and you say, hey, Eronica, I saw you were doing this. Can you help me? Before I say, hey, give me a minute, I can help you tomorrow. I'm like, oh no, I can help you right now. Mm. And I would do everything for you and everything for me. I'll put on the back burner tomorrow, next month, next year. Right. And I know a lot of your listeners can relate to this. And so
especially moms, right? Especially
moms. So I didn't always fill my cup first. But when I didn't fill my cup first, I realized that pouring from an overflow, you always feel like no one else was there for you. You are not worthy. You just have all these limiting beliefs when you pour from an empty cup. So if you're in your life and you're having a lot of limiting beliefs, check out your cup. Is your cup actually full? Are you taking time to honor yourself before you honor other people? And so that's when I had to realize that I came up with this model that I would give to myself 3 times before I show up for somebody else. And usually that's in the form of my morning walk or my morning yoga, or my time in silence with myself, or just a practice for myself before I face the world. Because if I had continued down the path of giving to others before I gave to myself, I would just be I would literally be quarter of where I am today and quarter of impactful, because I truly was in all the places, but I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't happy. I felt broken inside until I started taking care of me first. then the fulfillment looks different.
Well, it's like that saying, you can only take people as far as you've taken yourself. And
I
so if
guess
you're
so.
not doing it for yourself, you're not going to get the results for the people you're trying to help, right?
I love that.
So, well, I want to ask you two things. What do you think has been your biggest lesson in life? And then, well, first I answer that one. What's your biggest lesson?
I think my biggest lesson in life that I've personally learned is that when I'm quiet enough, because remember I told you I came from a place where I was always given, always had to be doing something, always on the go, all these things before I got to this place where I'm like in a quieter place. I learned that if I'm quiet enough to listen to myself, I will begin to trust myself more and honor myself more. And so because I was always responding and being there for others, there wasn't much quietness happening within me. So I was always looking outside for outward validations. Now I get to go within. So my biggest lesson is to always schedule quiet time, because I need it more than you can ever read about. Because when I get time to go within, when I come back out, everything is more powerful, more impactful. I feel better. And so that's my biggest lesson in life that I've learned, is that I have to make time to give me exactly what I need. Because there was a point in my life where I used to wait for people like, oh, well, you're my partner, you're my boyfriend, and you should be doing this, or you're my friend, you should be doing that, right? We've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
No, they don't owe you anything. You owe it all to yourself. Show people how you want to live and how you want to be treated, so then they can mirror that back to you.
Well, that's powerful. And my next question was going to be, I know that there are people out in our audience that really are struggling right now, whether it's their circumstance or they've lost a loved one, or they've lost a job, or they're trying to start over. Is there any encouragement that you might share with them?
For the people who are struggling or wanting to figure out, how can I get to a place of alignment? How can I get to a place where I can honor myself? How can I get to a place where I can show myself more self-care, more self-love? I think first we have to come to terms. I call it the 3 A's. And the first one is, first you have to become aware of where you actually are and where you actually want to go. And after awareness, I just invite you to accept that, you've just lost a loved one. You just lost your job. You don't have the financial means that you used to have, or you don't have the support you used. Just accept it. Because sometimes when we accept things, we think accepting it means it's okay. You're accepting where it is, so that way you can lean right into your next step, which is aligned action. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people in life, they're aware of where they are, they accept where they are, but they forget the last one. They don't take aligned action. And so for me, what aligned action could look like for you if you're struggling or in a harder place now than you want, is just think about, what's one thing I can do today that's going to get me closer? Like, I'm not going to be that person that be like, oh, do it every day. Do it. You will never hear those terms from me. I am a start small kind of coach. When you start small, when it's simple enough, you'll stay committed. And so if you can find one thing that you can do, whether it's each day or each week, to move the needle to where you want to go, over the course of 30, 90, 120 days, you'll see transformation in your life, because you added the 3rd A, which is aligned action.
That's beautiful. And then it also helps you taking small steps like you suggested, and actually doing them gives you more confidence. Momentum. Because you're basically keeping the promises that you made to yourself.
I want to add one more tip.
Yeah, please do.
Thank you for adding that. The next thing I always say to people is that don't wait for motivation. Motivation doesn't always show up for you when you want to. So first you have to show up, and then allow your motivation and your momentum to meet you. And so a lot of times we wait, like, okay, whenever I feel motivated, I will. After the kids go off to school, I will. Or after this one is older, after I get that next job. Don't wait. Just start now, and then allow your momentum to meet you. Because as the momentum go, like you said, those actions make you feel more confident. And as the confidence rises, so will your momentum. And never miss 2 days in a row. Never miss 2 days in a row.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. Well, tell me, I could tell you, but I want you to tell me what you think. What because my husband's a football coach and I think his genius is he could do it in his sleep, encourage young men and teach them football. And it's just his zone of genius. What do you think your zone of genius is?
My zone of genius is intuition. And when I say intuition, I mean, it's the ability, that thing that I didn't have a long time ago. It's my ability to listen, my ability to listen deep enough to crowdsource the intuition within my own mind, body, and soul, that I feel confident with every single choice that I make. And so when you talk about zone of genius, my zone of genius is in going into fulfillment. It's the ability to help people, no matter what your situation is, no matter where you are in your life, to gain the fulfillment you need. Because we had this notion, or it was told to us by society, that in order to be happy, or in order to celebrate, or in order to have X, you have to have Y. And so I cut that upside down, drop it on its head, and show people how they can be fulfillment exactly where they are right now.
That's great. Wow. I love that. So let me ask you, how do people find you? And basically just the best place for them to find you, because I'm going to put all of your information in the show notes for the podcast or on YouTube. But if there's one place people can find you, where would you want that to be?
If you are actually listening to this beautiful podcast, literally while you're here, just pop over to my Instagram. My Instagram is my first and my last name, Eronica Aljoe. Pop over to my Instagram, send me a message. Let me know you were listening to the Honor It All podcast so that we can connect. And literally, because you take the time to send me a message, I'll literally send you a free gift. So that's how you can find me, always on my Instagram. I feel like that's where I'm at most of the time. I'm most active, even though I'm always in Clubhouse. But my Instagram is exactly where you want to go.
Awesome. And then what's next on the horizon? I mean, you're always encouraging others to dream big. It's what you do for people. So what's in your vision for your future?
Oh my goodness. It's crazy because when I think of my future, when I think of what I'm creating, for a coach, it's very weird. I see all I desire to have, but there's no date. There's nothing next to it. And the reason why that is because everything I desire and dream that I want to bring to life always happened faster. And so one perfect thing is that I want to say maybe 3 years ago, I did an interview, and the person I was interviewing with said to me, "Hey, what do you want for the next few years of your life? What do you see?" And I told him, I see my business being all over the world. I see me helping women and kids, just spreading a positive movement and vibration into the lives of others in underdeveloped countries, in schools. And that's less than
you're doing that.
That's less than 3 years later. However, when I thought about it, I think maybe about like my 10 year into my business, because one, I'll have enough bandwidth, of financial bandwidth to it, and then I'll have all these things. But luckily for me, I didn't put a 10-year mark next to it because it's happening in 3 years. And so next for me in my life, I see me leaning in further, creating a bigger impact, taking care of myself even more and my family, because when I'm able to be present, I'm able to see all the things that's meant for me in the world. So big things are happening, literally. Like it's just, I was looking at my vision board recently, and I made my vision board, and before the year got halfway, more than half of the things were accomplished. Not because I was every day working on it, but because every day I visualize. I don't look at it every day, but every day I visualize how I want to feel. And so when somebody asks me what's next for me, it's a feeling. It's not a thing. It's not a person. It's not a dollar amount. It's a feeling. So what's next for me is the feeling of more abundance, the feeling of more joy, the feeling of more impact, and the feeling of helping more women across the globe. That's what's next for me.
That is a wonderful thing to be on your horizon. And it really is everything that we want in life. It's not that we want it. We want the feeling that comes with it, the peace, the joy, all of that. So I love that. And for everyone who's listening, you will be able to find Eronica on Clubhouse in the Miracle Morning. And she is an amazing moderator. And if you start your day and you want just some encouragement and some energy, Juju, you got to go see her or hear her because she will brighten your day for sure. And Eronica, I'd love to end each podcast with the same question for each guest. This podcast is called the Honor It All podcast. So what are you choosing to honor today?
Today, I'm choosing to honor buying myself some flowers. It's been a while since I've been picking fresh flowers a lot from my garden. I plant roses. I plant a lot of different things in my garden. But I think today I'm going to honor myself by buying myself fresh flowers. I love fresh flowers. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give myself the gift that I desire, that I want.
That's great. And a great example for other people to go out and give themselves some self-care today. So,
yeah.
Well, that's it, folks. What a perfect way to complete this episode with the beautiful and radiant Eronica Aljoe. Thank you so much, Eronica.
Thank you so much for having me. And it was so great to be here with you and your guests today. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And until next time, remember, we are not promised tomorrow. So be present today. That is the gift. And take time to honor it all.